I'm Chris Cullis, I'm chair of the biology department, and I was using the Worldwide Learning Environment seed money from the McGregor Foundation to develop a course that would make the lab experience of undergraduates much more meaningful. This experiment was essentially to take some plant material that the sand bushmen have been using for centuries and try to see whether, in collaboration with people in Namibia and South Africa, whether we can develop this into a food crop for resource-poor farmers. The actual material is the marama bean, which is a small bean that has better nutritional characteristics than soybean and peanuts, and it's never been grown as a crop. It's just harvested from lying out in the wild as people go through and look at it. And so we need to develop resources so we can do some modern molecular plant breeding on this crop to make sure that it can produce enough to make it worthwhile growing.
I'm Koonce, professor of biology. At the time of the grant from the McGregor Fund, allocation of funds for the Worldwide Learning Environment, I was chair of the department and obtained support to purchase a video card for use in courses that were engaging international students. That activity was mainly carried on by Professor Cullis in a course that he was conducting in South Africa. But my interest in the problem of being able to use video cards to communicate with students at other campuses, whether it was nationally, internationally, within the state, within the city of Cleveland, is part of the larger sustainability issues that we wanted to address in terms of being able to use this technology in laboratory classes that would enrich the student experiences in inquiry-based education. The projects that we've been able to do with the network card involve very uncertain kinds of interactions with students very far away, and I think the examples that we've been able to do with the South African course show that the students have a very different kind of engagement.
It's very clear that the students really like having to interact with people elsewhere. It's amazing how much their enthusiasm changes once they've actually had that interaction. They're aware of it, they know it's coming. It doesn't really impact them until they actually meet the other individuals, both faculty and graduate students in Southern Africa. And suddenly they realize after that interaction that their data actually means something to somebody else. That in fact these students are going to need it in order to move their own project forward. And so that takes the level of engagement completely out of the realms of what you expect to see in a fairly large laboratory-based course, which is primary focus is to teach them some techniques. They get that, but they get it in a completely different way.
It's important to remember that the future of science is very collaborative. And it's going to be collaborative among institutions, across geographic boundaries, beyond our own United States, and interacting with students in other countries, with research teams in other countries.
And it's been especially important that by having the video card rather than just the sort of network conferencing activities, is we can bring in multiple partners simultaneously. And so this facility really does change the way you can think about things and the way you can have the individuals interact with one another. And seeing somebody face to face is really very different from talking to them on the phone. And so that I think is the really major impact that this particular technology is going to have on our courses and our students, and hopefully the students from other parts of the world.